Welcome back to the Be With Factor. In this training session, we're going to be answering the question, how do I protect myself and the student from any suspicion or wrong motives? You know, as mentors, we need to always play it safe. As we all know, we live in a time where we need to be very careful when we're hanging out with students. Sometimes people question our motives or what is this relationship's all about. That's where we need to put safeguards in our ministries to protect us and the kid that we're mentoring. I use a simple analogy of stop, look, and listen. It comes from when a parent teaches a young kid how to cross the street. Basically, they take them to the curb and they make sure first they stop. Next, they look both ways to make sure there's no cars coming. And the last thing they do is listen for anything that they may not see before it's safe to cross the street. I think this same analogy can help us be safe in a mentoring relationship. The first thing that we need to do, we need to stop. Before any meeting or be with activity, we need to stop and ask ourselves the question, is this the wisest thing for me to do? Next, we need to simply look. We need to look around and make sure that we're being seen at all times by someone else. You guys, I believe in mentoring, you're never alone with a kid. If I bring a student in my office, I make sure the door's open. If I want to have a private conversation with them, I make sure I'm at a coffee shop or at a park where others can see me. I also think at this time we need to remember that men, need to mentor young men, and women need to mentor young women. There's exceptions at this, where maybe there's 2 or 3 students you're mentoring, but I think it always involves a married couple if there's going to be a co-ed group going on. So the part that I'm talking to you about right now is in the stop, look, and the last one is listen to be safe. You need to listen and check in your gut what the Holy Spirit may be saying to you during these Be With activities. Is there something God is telling you through the words of a student that causes you to pause and say, this is a problem? And what I mean by that is there's times when obviously the kid wants to have a private conversation with you or they want to trust you with some confidential issues. And there's appropriate confidentiality that you need to have, but there's a boundary. When you hear a kid start to talk about bringing harm to themselves or to others, that's when a red flag goes up. When you hear a kid talk about doing something illegal, this kind of activity needs to be reported. That's when you have to say that the common sense, I got to go bring someone else into here. And that's when I tell the kid. If a kid comes up to you and says, Bo, I got to tell you something you can't tell anyone. A red flag goes up in my heart and say, you know what? You got to trust me here. I want to hear what you have to say, but you got to trust me that we'll walk through this together and it may involve other people. So the stop, look, and listen is a safeguard that I think will help us all in our mentoring efforts. Now, to help you with this, I've got a checklist for you to listen to, and then when the training's over, you guys can discuss what type of checklist do you need to put in your ministry. Listen to this checklist. First of all, does this activity or conversation pass the common sense test? How do I feel if what I'm doing were projected on a large screen for my whole church to see? Does the person who supervises me know where I am and what I'm doing with this student? How would a loving parent feel about what I'm doing with their child? Am I in eyesight of someone other than the student? Am I feeling attraction or any other emotion that is inappropriate? What do I sense God saying about the conversation or activity I'm having with the student? And is the student presenting an issue for which I need outside help? In your discussion time, I encourage you to put together your own checklist to help you stay safe in your mentoring relationships. In our next training, we're going to be talking about 2 other questions that I think are going to help you in these Be With times. And that simply is, what does a spiritual formation blueprint look like in mentoring? And what is it that I actually do when I'm hanging out with a kid? So enjoy your training, and I'll talk to you next time.